Hello, I'm Zajong from University of Edinburgh. Today I'm pleased to introduce our new work, Data Comics for Reporting Controlled User Studies in Human-Computer Interaction. This work won't happen without our excellent collaborators. They are Jacko Ritchie from Stanford University, Jingtao Zhou from Tianjin University, Fanny Chevalier from University of Toronto, and my supervisor Benjamin Bach. With not too much experience of giving scientific presentations, I feel like one mouth is not enough to describe this 9-page condensed report in 12 minutes, especially in a big conference like WAIDS, where audience are not only domain experts and professionals, but also supermen. You must have more than one brain to keep following and understand every presentation. It's not an easy communication at all, neither by vocal presentation nor written reports. For example, a standard HCI quantitative study begins with context, motivation, then the conditions, hypotheses, tasks, stimuli, materials, then it details participants, study setup, followed by data analysis and result presentation. There are loads of information. So, scientific study reports always have compressed description. Moreover, they are full of domain-specific jargons and complex visualizations. During a communication process, complex relations may not be sufficiently explained, or you may simply overlook crucial information for the results. For example, what do these error bars indicate? A p-value, 95% confidence interval, or 98%? Why do these two charts have different x-axes? Do they present the same things? And what are those transparent bars in this context? If they are not explained in captions, you will need to find them in text. So, the poor exposition, abstractions, and notation like this can add to research debt and create an increasing need for interpretive labor. To make research findings more accessible to both experts and lay audiences, a range of formats have emerged to complement the traditional articles. For example, graphical abstract, posters, videos, interactive explanations. However, the oversimplification can cause important details to be sacrificed, such as concrete descriptions of methods, decisions, and context. So we're looking for something between the complexity and oversimplification to fill the gap. A study we did before have suggested potentials of data comics for data-driven storytelling. Data comics have a great flexibility and numerous characteristics beneficial to communication. That includes a high integration of visual and textual explanations, the sequential presentation of information, visual content for recall and quick navigation, and provide different levels of reading. We focus data comics that are less on cartoons or visual styles, but as a way of thinking, logic, and effective communication technique. In this paper, we aim to provide a framework for researchers and science communicators, guiding the dissemination process and designing visual narratives for scientific study reports. To achieve quick overview as well as access to details from skimming to close reading. We have 5 initial design objectives: clarify decisions and important information, explain information visually, support recognition and recall with a visual vocabulary, provide visual overview and structure, use aesthetic appeal to create engagement. Here's one of our examples, something you can put on your appendix, poster, project website, or blog post. This comic is made for a classic example of controlled user study in visualization. It compares these two techniques in a lab setting. The comic includes 6 stages and follows a linear reading sequence. The context stage begins with an introduction and illustrates the construction of weighted graphs and raises questions that motivate the study. Then at the stage of conditions and the task, it explains conditions of 2 techniques visually. The 3 vertical panels to illustrate the task flow of what users need to pay attention for in the task, what are needed to count, and shows interactions to finish a trail and insert an answer. The 4 hypotheses illustrate the expected results in terms of the dependent variables by using annotated bar chart sketches. This stage includes participant setup conditions and the screenshot of the interface presented to the participants. It uses 4 panels to show the order in which datasets were shown goes from simple to difficult, followed by the results were displayed in a question and answer pattern. Each one declares the winner technique for independent variables, highlights significant findings. The last stage contrasts the initial hypothesis with the findings from the results, and reports which ones are supported or unsupported. This example shows 6 selected stages. We have 10 stages detailed in the paper with more examples. This flowchart shows the methodology of this paper. We started our exploration by creating comics of our own papers that involved empirical studies. We constructed at least 1 complete example comic for each study. It was an iterative process that involved discussions among all authors. We conducted guided design discussion in parallel to our own exploration. 3 participants created data comics for research papers they were familiar with. In the process, participants struggled to decide which parts of analysis should be included into the comic. We analyzed examples produced during our exploration and design discussion, and distilled an initial list of stages with design solutions. Eventually, to further evaluate the idea of using data comics for stages and find more design solutions, we conducted a collaborative design session with 7 researchers from different backgrounds on their own papers. The entire design sessions were conducted individually for each participant. Participants were asked to attend with a write-up of their study and give a brief presentation. Then the instructor briefly introduced the data comics with examples. Participants were then asked to create drafts for their comics offline. We provided textual guidelines for each stage as well as 3 example comics. They worked on their drafts for 1 to 4 days. We met again with each participant, discussing their storyboards and the challenges they had. Then the instructors iterated the comics aided by their written reports as well as feedback from participants by email and calls. Eventually, participants filled the questionnaires about their experience of creation process. The result shows the participants found our examples were well illustrated and they found it was a very good opportunity to create a visual, easy-to-consume format. Our stages and guidance helped them to distill the required information and structure to follow. But 3 participants reported issues with identifying the target audience and deciding what information should be included, how detailed the comic should be. We also found the most difficulties are with explaining multiple methods, complex stimuli, and explaining data transformation of analysis. With data comics, this paper only focuses on reporting quantitative studies. We have tried a few examples to explain qualitative results, like explaining machine learning models, algorithms, and formulas, but those touch an even bigger design space, which will require more attention in future. To summarize, in this work, we have created an initial set of examples, developed through design exploration and iterated collaborative design. We provide a 10-stage guidelines on what one could do with data comics for reporting controlled user studies. We will update more examples on our website. Our results are at the beginning point of the exploration, and it's still at the very primary stage of a very big design space. Thanks for watching, and I'm happy to take questions and comments from you.